see how we're going to do a joint live. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Okay, we are trying to do a joint live today. Let us see how we do this. Here we go. Here we go. Ah, is she here? Here we go. Here we
Okay.
go. Little feedback there.
Wonderful. Oh, and you're so
Yay, we
summery.
made it. My first time doing this.
Wonderful. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too, finally, after all this time.
Yep. It looks like are you one of your devices might need to be muted.
I only have my phone.
Okay, no
Is it
worries.
echoing on your end?
But that's okay. We'll figure it out. It reminds me of the old school Paul Selig channeling when he has to do the whispering first and then the
Is that what's
talking.
happening?
Yes.
Should we hang up and try again?
No, let's just deal with it. Let's just deal with it. There's a delay. I see you on my computer, but I'm actually with you on my phone. So it works out well.
Is your volume off?
Yes.
Okay.
With you. Yep. Yep, it's off.
All right. So this is my first time doing a live stream with somebody totally amazing. Um, and what a great live stream to start. So, y'all, we don't even know what we're going to talk about today.
No, no. Gosh, the feedback is a little bit crazy. There is some kind of strange delay. Can you hear it?
Mm-mm.
I'm going to back out and come in. I apologize to everybody. I'm going to see
Okay.
um, if this works. So give me one
Okay.
second.
So, we'll try this once again. Good to see you here. Everybody's joining in. We're waiting for the guests to come in. I'm trying this one more time. Chastity is going to come in. We're going to do this live. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Oh, good,
Yes,
good,
there's
good,
no
good, good.
feedback. Wonderful. So we're on real time now.
Yes, and we're
Hello.
on your YouTube and my YouTube, correct?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is very exciting though if that's the case. My goodness. Um Yeah, I've never done this before either on YouTube, so this is a new adventure. You're so summery and I'm so wintry. It's freezing here.
Yes. Oh, Oliver just joined. Yes, it is like summer here.
Yeah. Hi,
I was going to wear
Oliver.
a green sweater, but I thought it's too hot.
Ugh. Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't get the green memo. Otherwise, I could have popped a green sweater on my end. But fantastic. It's so good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Currently, I'm in spiral time. Kiana and I have been talking about this for quite some time about what are we going to talk about? How are we going to get together? We both just have this passion for seeing people, helping people, wanting to bring people together in, I want to say spiritual ways, but it's really the ways of life, isn't it? It's really about how we live our life, how we each walk our path, and how the journey changes, how we change. So
Yes.
I'm excited for this.
Yes. So we've been going back and forth and about different ideas. And of course, one of the biggest videos that I have on this channel is about bullying, but that's such a
Mhm.
big, bold topic. So I thought, what another way that we could look at it is what are the topics? What are the themes that your clients are bringing up to you, and what are the themes that I'm seeing, and then maybe if we can merge on a topic that we don't have to be all over the place.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Make sure I still have that on mute, so there's no feedback. Oops, pardon me.
Oops.
Just dropping things. Um, yeah, the biggest topic right now, currently. Um, so, for those of you that don't know me, I by trade am a massage therapist, but I've really since set that aside. I've been a massage therapist for almost 15 years. So since 2013. And I see the body, I feel the body. And so since I was younger, I've been able to identify emotional pain in the physical body and why and how that manifests through spirit, or why we have physical pain. And it's because something went unnoticed in another realm of existence, in our biofield. And um, so, curiously enough, because the structure of our reality is changing, uh, the body is changing, the bones are changing, the blood is changing, everything's changing. So I have been noticing that people are having injuries. So,
Mm.
physical injuries, we're talking car crashes, joint immobility, people are getting broken bones, we're looking at sprains and strains. Uh, I cannot tell you how many people, well, I can count on two hands still that I know of people that have injured their ankles. And this is a hinge joint. What does a hinge do, right? Back and forth, right? With no ability to move 360 degrees. It's not a ball joint, right? So there's a lot of inflexibility happening in a time that we need to be flexible.
Well, that's oops.
Oh,
That was very
goodness.
timely.
Oh, goodness, goodness. So,
We're both professionals here, and but we're not professional YouTubers. That is for sure.
no.
So that was a good intro there, Chastity, because well, my trade has always been business consulting and I've kind of ridden the edge of introducing energy as I've used the term energy psychology, but I've done it this way because so many people just really don't understand that everything is energy, which
Hmm.
boggles my mind,
Hmm.
but it's still such a thing. Um, and then until I couldn't.
Hmm.
And then I had to shift over. And in the shift over, my clients are really maybe quite different than yours, maybe not so much physical pain, but I would say emotional,
Yeah, well,
mental, and really just how they are perceiving their current reality.
mhm,
So I'm pretty sure that those injuries and those perceptions and beliefs can kind of merge together. Do you see that
mhm.
as well?
I do. And like I said, yeah, emotions and physical are one and the same. It's part of an entire piece. It's one structure. And to separate them keeps us in separation, right? Um, Business psychology is curious to me because it's kind of one of the houses we move into. If you look at if you look at systems, then a work system or a business system is classified one way. And we've been living in such a patriarchal world and mind. We've been in the mind body of the patriarchy. And it's time to introduce new ways and new things. And I love that you're busting out of, and you're not busting out, you're out there. You've been introducing this energy piece, this frequency, this vibration for quite some time. And so I think it's wonderful. It's a beautiful topic even to talk to speak on.
It's so interesting though, because how do you take people who are so locked into their minds, which again is that ankle piece not being flexible,
Hmm.
right? And introduce, well, where does that originate? And I was thinking we could talk about belief systems
Hmm.
and how do we disentangle, become, because people are so meshed with their beliefs, they don't even know that their beliefs are causing this rigidness.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was reading the comments, and is it Sankey okay? I have never seen two blonde women get along. Well done, ladies, setting a new precedent. That is a belief system, right? And I have a funny story about that. I'm treated different every. I don't know if you have always been blonde,
no,
um, but you're treated different when you have different hair color. People look
totally.
at you different. They talk to you different. I notice when I'm blonde, they speak much slower. And so I say, "Oh, this is fun." So pay
What I
attention.
noticed when I went blonde, so I used to be a brunette, maybe
Mhm,
darker than my roots. And when I got injured, and I decided when I was injured, speaking of injury, um, that when I got out of pain, I was going to do my life differently.
mm,
And going blonde was one of the things that I chose to do different. And what I noticed is people were nicer and they held the door for me. Both male and females
mm,
would keep the door open. And I thought, oh, that's
mhm,
interesting.
mhm.
Anyways, funny.
This is a beautiful segue into why there are belief structures and how that leads into bullying. We have epigenetic. Um, I mean, our environment is what causes our belief systems, and so we look at how our parents, how our grandparents raised us, what they think,
Mm,
how they feel, how they perceive us. Their fears are not only put into the environment, but it's put into our DNA. And so when one of their fears is when you kind of cross that threshold, it activates like a cellular vibration. And in that vibration, then creates a structure or a construct. And then you have just woken up or engaged with a belief system. So uh, if you send your child to school saying, um, if you wear high water pants, for instance, you're going to be bullied. They're going to think you're poor. You can't go to school like that. So the child then will immediately think if I see somebody else like this, either it's my job to bully them or they're going to be bullied. It just it opens up a whole you've just claimed somebody in a vibration and then the structure begins to come alive because we're co-creators.
right. Well, also perceptions are at the root, are tied to belief systems. And so many, you said, well, what the parents think, but so many people aren't even aware of their own thoughts.
Right.
And then to think about what their parents thought, but
Hmm.
they don't hesitate one moment to blame their family lineage for their troubles, which goes into the victimizer, and it's this whole spiral of what would you say? Blindness, spiritual blindness, maybe. Would you
Hmm.
say that?
Hmm. It's it's mm, the inability to see is because um, it's not that the knowing isn't there, it's that the tools aren't there to cultivate it.
Hmm.
So we're not tending our garden of truth or tending our garden of knowledge. We're living by a handbook that has been transcribed over the lineage, over what is it called? What's it's after epochs, generations.
Hmm.
It's just been a level of generational um, belief structures, and so how do you bust out of that? And usually there's somebody in the family line at some point that says, I'm not doing that. And there's one in each generation. But how many times does it take for somebody to stand up to say, it ends today.
Right.
It ends with me. And when it ends, what are you doing to replace that? What are you doing to replace it? Work habits, eating habits, study habits, the way we speak to other people. Um, I believe bullying is generational, and it
Hmm.
can be all kinds of levels of abuse that has been happening in the family. And by all kinds of abuse, I mean all kinds of abuse. Um, um, Being a victim, if you're a victim, you likely were also a victimizer. So you switch. That role is the person will always play both sides when they're in that program.
So, chastity, to narrow, so most of the people that watch this channel are new to energy. The concepts, the alignment to oneness,
Mhm,
um, building the house. So, based on the themes that you're seeing and based on the themes that I'm seeing, which is perception, owning power, owning your
mhm,
own power to make a change, which you said when it's, what do you think is the topic that we should like hone in on? Because one of the things that I like to do, and I know you're really good at this too, is give people like something that they could go do on their own. Because
mhm,
energy is about practice, it is
mhm,
about establishing regular, consistent practices.
mhm, mhm.
So what's our topic?
Um, Gosh, well, if we're going around, if we're tiptoeing into the idea of bullying, but we're skimming the edge of energy, let's move into how and why any of this works anyway. And that is whoever controls, whoever, how do you say that? You have to be in control of your thoughts and feelings, and your thoughts and your actions have to match. So it's as simple, energy is as simple as being the creator of it. So how do you control your emotions? Somebody makes you upset and you behave a certain way. How can you change your behavior in order to change the emotion? Let's say you're your mom is yelling at you. Say you're a child, okay? Let's say your child made you really mad or upset. Somebody at work, a coworker, made you mad or upset. Uh, the first thing to do is realize that there's something actually in the way of your emotions, and that thing that's in the way is what is saying this person made me upset, or this person betrayed me, or this person wronged me. And instead, we bring it back into ourselves and we say, "Hmm, how can I respond in a positive way or in a neutral way?
Mhm.
Assess the situation. Where should my emotions be here?" Like my child this morning threw herself upon the floor
Oh.
because she was tired, right? She was tired. She didn't want to eat yet. She wasn't ready to get ready for school. And so I can lose my mind. Why are you doing this? What's going on with you? I can respond in all these really big ways and say, why do you always do this to me? Why do you make my days hard? Why are my mornings starting out like this? Or I can say to myself, she could have had a bad dream. She's probably still really tired. So, how can I pull myself together so there's this sense of stability, not just for me, but for her? Instead of allowing something to ride the electricity, right? When we're thinking, that's an electrical, this is just science, right? It's just an electrical pulse. And we have electromagnetic pulsing moving through our bodies and our brains,
Mm.
our central nervous system at all times. So, how do we regulate that on our own without medication, without, um, any other things. And it's about learning how to stop, walk away, reassess the situation, rethink how we're going to respond, these kinds of things.
Well, so you bring up multiple points, but one of the things that I think that most people miss when they're in a situation, whether it's a child that's needing certain attention, or your boss at work is maybe intimidating or bullying you. What I would say is the observation of the experience is key, because you observed, okay, this is happening. But most people are so in reaction mode that they're missing that pause. So find a way to put a pause in your dynamics, whatever the
Mhm,
dynamic, child and parent, or employee and employer. The
mhm.
pause is key.
Yes. And so, what do you do to pause?
So, well, when you were mentioning your daughter, what came up for me is a memory where I remember being bullied. So I used to be a contractor for the government. And by the way, I have many government employees that former clients that watch this show. So I want to be mindful that they're in a particular dynamic where they work with contractors, and the
Mhm.
contractors right now are getting paid when they are not. So I'm laughing because it's just part of the inversion, right?
Mhm,
We have a backwards reality sometimes with how things are done. But I was a contractor, and I had another contractor that was bullying me. And I remember sitting across the table, and I was just listening to him thinking, is this really happening? Like, and so I was in disbelief. So I think about the bullying, a lot of, at least in my experience, the ego mind coming into play. Like, this can't really be what's happening. Like, they can't really be treating me like this. So the lower and higher ego, just like doing this crazy dance, no neutrality. And also that aspect of disbelief,
mm,
like, and that I would say kept me hooked into a bullying situation longer than would have been necessary if I would were neutral. So this is
mhm,
hindsight, right? So I'm sitting across the desk from this guy who is in the military. They call them ring knockers, but they
mhm,
have these, their military graduate degrees from the military academy, and
mm,
they knock it on the table to let everybody know that they're, so there's like a lot of nonverbals going on. But of course, it's me. I didn't go to school at his college, and I didn't really know his rules. I just thought, this guy's really obnoxious and I don't like what he's saying. So I was already in my ego when it was happening. But I remember pausing, just thinking, this does not, this, to respond to him would be useless.
mhm,
So how did I pause? Is I just thought, there's no response that would have been useful. So I think that's key, is to know, like, when it's time to speak, which I talk a lot, especially as a consultant, and when it's time to have no words.
mhm,
And I chose no words for that
mhm.
particular situation. I did take action, but not in that moment.
Right. Yeah. A pause. A gentle pause, I think, is um, a really great chance to reassess what's going on. Um, One of the questions I ask myself is, what can I do right now to add value to the
Good one.
situation? And that's also one of the things I've taught my kids. Well, are you adding value to this? Or were you, because children, they can't see. But when we get into adulthood, we didn't learn, more often than not, we didn't learn the way to the ways of communicating, right? We didn't learn how to respond, or how to pause or how to step away, these kinds of things. So it definitely it's definitely like we're learning how to parent ourselves in these situations. And so, how do I reframe the situation? Sometimes people will go into daydreaming and just imagine that what they're saying is nice, what the person is saying across the table is nice, um, instead of claiming disbelief and confusion and then spiraling out, right? Because that can like trigger more emotions or anything else of unfairness. But Kiana, it makes me think about being in the wrong place. How many of us are in the wrong place, in the wrong job, in the wrong relationship, in the wrong, just why are we there? And a lot of it is, I think, tied to where our injuries or our traumas have brought us to. And so we think we can't do anything better than that, or we deserve to to be treated that way. And maybe we justify it with the amount of money we're being paid, or whatever the case may be.
I always thought it was karma. Now I look back and I don't think it was karma. I think it was exactly what you're saying. Like w- I, I, I was used to doing things the hard way. What
Hmm.
harder way to make money than working with a bunch of people who do not see women as equal,
Hmm.
who are not used to listening. Like there were so many hard aspects of being a consultant. But what I learned was just to, the learning is too much to list here, but it was a lot. But
It's
that
all
one
worth it.
example of that one guy, he ended up getting fired
Hmm.
because of he threatened me in that
Hmm.
meeting, and threats are not okay, but you must see them for what they are and address them appropriately.
Or you must see yourself for who you are,
Yes,
and thus justice will be served. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. So
Mm.
how do you pause? How did you learn how to pause as a mother? That's probably the hardest thing, right? To just be still.
Well, I wouldn't say being a mother is the hardest thing, because um, we all look at the life that we're in. We all are faced with challenges, and those challenges are equal, I think. And so to say one is harder than the other is not. I don't think it's a fair assessment. But it's a learning. It's learning, and I can tell you that I have 5 children. So learning through each of them, there's a first time for everything, right? And no matter what, it's always your child's first time with you interacting, as you go through. So. Um, Lots of firsts and lots of apologies. So um, how how I got there was, it didn't happen overnight. I had to learn how to forgive myself. I had to learn how to admit. I have to admit that I'm in the wrong, right? Or that I've been hurtful, that I've caused what it is I'm witnessing, or if I've not caused it, I've definitely participated in it. So you have to admit that first. And when you can admit that, it starts to get a lot easier, because when in that admittance, you can see, then you have the ability to shift and change your emotions, your words. It might start with words first. It might start with silence. Um, it's about knowing that you can say, now is not a good time for me. Give me a minute, and I'll be back. Give me 5 minutes, and then come back, so you're reliable, so you
Mhm.
have integrity, whether that be with your boss or your child or anything. And come back when you say you're going to come back, um, and stand upright, right?
So there's that pause again.
Hmm.
How important, and it's okay to ask
Hmm.
or say that you need a pause, take
Hmm.
5. Even when you're married, hey, this is getting heated, take 5, so we could come back with presence,
Mhm.
because when we lose presence, that's when things become reactionary. I think, and
Mhm.
we've all had those moments where we react and we're like, oh, and it's okay to like say sorry and just move on with
Mhm.
grace.
Mhm. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is accountability. Like I shouldn't have said that. And I did. And
Mhm.
so, you have to forgive yourself. It's okay if the other person doesn't forgive you. That's not your business. You can't
Right.
control that. You only get to control yourself. And um, things start to shift.
Yeah. So with that in mind, with all a lot of people who have been bullied
Hmm.
or been intimidated by others for one reason or another, maybe somebody they perceive as a higher hierarchy or something. How Now I forgot what direction I was going with that question. I completely lost my thought.
That's okay.
Let's see if
Um,
is there any questions in the chat there?
yeah, Oliver, do you want to go ahead and get rid of Samir Ahmed, please? Thank you. Will Stranger. Um, yeah, it's thank you, thank you, thank you. We always find people that have an opinion. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Oliver. Um, and I think that getting off track. I think this is another really good topic to discuss when something comes in to try to derail you or
Mhm.
cause a frustration or cause you to second guess yourself. I think it's really important to take a deep breath, just refocus and stand in the truth of who you are and what it is you stand by. You may later discover that you don't feel that way anymore 5 months down the road, something down the road, but you get to know yourself and you get to know what it is you stand for by actively standing in the moment and making the
Mhm.
choices to the best of your ability at all times and setting intention to bring no harm to other people.
Right. That's a good point. So, for people who are not practiced in observation of pausing, one of the things that I would do is get practice. I would say people need to practice that. How would you recommend people practice?
Life, living, being present in the moment. Um, how do you breathe? Practice breath work, paying attention to your breath and where your breath brings your thoughts. Um, Actively practice listening. So don't say something straight away. Don't listen to somebody talk, waiting for your turn uh, to jump in. You know, practice taking notes. Um, I think listening in itself is kind of a long pause.
Yeah.
It's a long learn.
Another trick is also to like repeat back what you
Hmm.
think you heard. In the military, they call it repeat backs. And
Hmm.
I remember when I was working on submarines for a period of time, that was like a habit that they all had, that you had to repeat back so there wasn't mistakes. Of course, there always were mistakes, but it
Hmm.
was supposed to mitigate them. But I thought that was a good practice in listening, that people really had to pay attention to what's being spoken. And I think that would be helpful for a lot of people in the pause. If they could even, because that would get them out of their head of thinking about what they want to say. And I also, when you're triggered, and I'll just say this because of the holidays are coming up, people get triggered very easily when they're stressed, more stressed. So it's a good practice to like notice before what you're doing. Like if you're getting in the car, I'm getting in the car. Just like practice on being present with yourself
Uh-huh.
first.
Mm-hmm.
Rudolf Steiner has this really great thing about like how we remember things and how we stay focused. And it's before we go to bed, remember your day backwards. So, like, I just got into bed. What did I do right before that? I put on my pajamas. What did I do right before that? I brushed my teeth. What did I do right before that? I just finished up my snack. What did I do right before that? And go all the way backwards to the beginning of your day. And that helps you remember. It helps you stay present, and it helps you begin to like reframe everything moving forward because you could be then starting to remember the little tiny details of like, ooh, I said that out loud. Or, oh, yikes, I can't believe I did that. And so you start to actually actively critique yourself in each move that you've made throughout the day and how you'll change that tomorrow.
Well, I love that
Uh,
practice because it one brings in this quality of reflection and then accountability and then adjust. And so
mhm,
many people want to be more aware, but they don't know how to be more aware. And it takes reflection. I
mhm,
personally have a practice of doing this at the end of the day just because I have things that I track. For
mhm,
example, did I give a blessing today?
mhm,
What did I bless? Um, that's one of the things I track. I also track like my high of the day. What was my highest high point of the day that I want to remember moving forward? And I, at the end of the month, I do a recap, another reflection
mm,
on the other month. But it's just a nice way to be present with your own learning. What did I learn today? I always write down my learnings like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. I don't want to forget it." Or my
mhm,
dreams, and just so I can kind of track and go back on the day
mhm,
and the month.
mhm. I'm not a big goal setter, but while you were talking, I was hearing, goal setting. So this might be something because you had mentioned, um, did I bless somebody today? Was I grateful for something today? And so goal setting for the next day or the next week, uh, and maybe rewarding yourself. I think in the new stages of coming out of something, you the brain might need a reward system for a little while. So if you have actively showed gratitude, or let's say you wanted to say three nice things every day to complete strangers, and you hit that mark, have a reward system for yourself. And I'm not saying keep the reward system, but I think that it'll help people get out of what they're stuck in of just being moving through the day, and we kind of go on autopilot. So moving through the day that's not in on autopilot.
Right. We just finished on this channel. I did a whole month of focus on kindness.
Hmm.
So every day, everybody was to do one act of kindness from their heart, not thinking today I'm going to be kind, but really be present to the kindness that they were expressing, whatever that was. And for the people of this channel who did practice kindness, they all reported back like remarkable changes. And kindness is another way in bringing that pause, I think, as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm. I'd be curious. Did you ask them if they were kind to themselves? Oh, I think you just disappeared on me, Kiana. I'll wait for you to come back. I'll, I'll wait for you to come back. But one of the things that I noticed is we have this ability to be kind to others. It's um, pretty easy in a way. But what I find curious about being kind is we tend to extend kindness, and then something deep in the subconscious is expecting something in return.
Mm.
And until we can be kind to ourselves, then there ends up being no expectation.
Mm.
So I'd be curious to see how many people were kind to themselves in your month long study. And
Yeah. I wish people would report more on that type of
mhm,
thing. But self-reporting is an
self
interesting.
accountability. Yep, it's self accountability. And then we have shame tied to that, or guilt, or, um, all of the things that come tied into the emotional body. And how do we untie those? How do we untie those?
Well, and also, how many of us think we're kind, but really are not?
Mhm.
Thinking we are a particular way and being a particular way are very different.
Very different. And seen through the lens of each person receiving as well, each person giving and
Hmm.
each person receiving. So there are so
Right.
many variables, so many variables. What is kind?
Yeah.
Um, you know, years ago, we had, uh, I did these in person energy classes. And one of the things that we talked about was, just because if you see somebody on the street and you give them money, or you think that they need something and you give it to them, you're projecting what you believe that person needs, or what you believe is kind to that person, and you have no concept of what it's actually doing to them mentally, emotionally, and are you interfering karmically?
Mm.
So there are a lot of things to think about in terms of us being kind to somebody else. Um, and is it really kind? Is it really kind to them?
Interfering karmically. That's deep.
It's like volunteering information to somebody who's like advice, like I'm just going to randomly give you advice and you didn't ask for it. That's that can be karmic interference, and can open up all kinds of worms for me giving the advice when it wasn't
Well,
asked of me.
I've been guilty of doing that. I
I have
remember
too.
this one time I remember learning this and thinking, oh my God, I got to shut up. Because what I was doing was speaking what I thought I was doing, again in the ego. I was speaking for the person who couldn't speak up for themselves, advocating
Hmm.
for. I had no business doing that. I thought I
Hmm.
was what I thought I was doing was advocating for
Hmm.
somebody else who didn't have the courage, let's just
Hmm.
say, or the wherewithal to advocate for themselves, which there is a lot of that, but it was not my
Sure.
job to be doing
Right.
that.
Yeah. So you just claimed them in weakness, thought that they couldn't speak for themselves, right? Which silences them. And
True.
then you just went ahead and took control, right?
Yeah, that was,
So,
and I say that excitingly now because the learning
mhm,
was profound. Because when I had the awareness that I was doing that, I
yeah.
then felt disappointment,
Hmm.
sadness, grief, because I would never
Hmm.
have wanted to do that.
Right.
But that's the accountability piece as
Hmm.
well. And, Chastity, just it's totally off topic, but maybe not so much. This life review.
Hmm.
You could do a conscious life review.
Hmm.
And this would be an example where you're able to, in my opinion, and tell me what you think. You could actually go back to that timeline. A lot of people think timelines can't go back to, but we do in the mind all the time.
Hmm.
So go back to that timeline and that experience where I did that, and clean it up.
Hmm. So, uh, we are time travelers. Humans, the human body um, is designed to time travel. Currently, with things that have happened, we travel through our imagination. Um, and um, That is bringing yourself into awareness of another time, just as you mentioned. And this can heal really terrible things that have happened to you or things that you've done. And you bring presence into that situation. So by cleaning it up, you're actually taking accountability, and you are bearing witness to a time and space where um, uh, you're looking for it to soften, sometimes dissolve entirely by projecting your consciousness into your then self, so past self or other selves, depending on what timeline you're on. And that's a whole nother topic, right? And then how that can then actually change and shift. The consciousness in the present moment. And that's actually uh, we change things actively when we witness them, when we look at them, when we're present. It's an observer theory. um, I was going to say something else about that. There are different ways. I forgot how I was going to say this, but there are different ways to I lost it. It'll come back to me, but it was about how we heal, and about time travel and timelines. It'll come back.
But I do see what you're saying as also being tied to presence and that observation and that pause.
Hmm.
And I I think that people think, and as I did, that when we're speaking that we're more powerful. But that pause, that observation point is where there's a lot of inner power and stillness that comes through. And with that, you not only can change the situation you're in the moment, but also past situations should you bring presence to it.
Hmm. Hmm. Um,
Let,
one, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was just going to see.
No, yeah, go ahead and read in the question or in the comments. Oh, never mind. Oliver deleted it.
Okay.
Um, I think it just disappeared. Yes, bringing uh, all kinds of interesting things going on today. Interesting comments that pop up and then they disappear. Um, I think that particular comment was about government documents and the splitting of bodies somehow. So, which I find quite curious too. You can look at the splitting of psyches, the splitting of bodies, dual realities, the twin, the double, and what philosophy or what storyline are you hitching a ride on, and what construct or reality do you and what do you want to participate in, and from what yes, a ghost. Yeah, I think that that's a really interesting. Um, is it Tay Mason? 6969, from a baby in a placenta, the private and public side of the ledge, etc. A hospital, um, a ghost, which goes into straw man and all of these kinds of things. There's really interesting things that happen in the placenta, happen to the baby. Of course, you're speaking about documentation and being put into um, a system or a reality or a matrix, and there are ways out of that. And again, I think through consciousness. Um, Ward means turn. If you have them in a ward, you mean to turn over. So interesting topic that is. I don't know how this kind of maybe delivery means of property, et cetera. It's interesting why this is coming up through here.
Yeah,
Um,
something being birthed.
well, yeah, I mean, these are all government terms. I'd be curious to know. I don't know. Is it in Black Law Dictionary? I think the language is used in a different law dictionary. But they're bringing up a lot of law terms, birth certificates, docking, doctors, interesting things. So I don't know how that came in up from our conversation, but it's quite curious. Mhm. It could
Yeah,
have something to do with other things you've discussed or talked about, I'm not sure.
I don't know. So, our topic, well, we're almost at an hour now. So,
Mhm,
we could wind down if you like, and we could each share like what is the biggest takeaway for being present, because we talked about observation, we talked about the pause, we talked about um, ego, mind, beliefs. We talked about a lot of different things.
mhm.
So, what would be the most important takeaway from your perspective on our very meandering, windy
Kaleidoscope,
road?
yeah. Well, they all fit together. My mind works like that. My mind goes like this, so I appreciate the colorful perspective of the weaving. I call it weaving, and so being able to bring all of this together. What is my biggest takeaway? My biggest takeaway is. And I find that it tends to be the biggest takeaway in many conversations, and it is know who you are. And in the knowing who you are, you can identify how the ego works, how the I works, which can then bring you into the direct mind of uh, um, thoughts, perspectives, emotions, and how through the multidimensional body we can. Um, Gosh, there seems to be quite a bit. This person has a lot of really introductory information. Introductory information. Um, So, my biggest takeaway is know yourself, know how the ego works, know that you're in control of the mind and of the emotions. And when these are in coherence, you can control the outcomes of your own reality, so to speak. And it's by changing your yourself like at the core, changing yourself at the core in order to be able to get out of what has been placed upon you, or what you've agreed to through your life, making decisions.
Right. First of all, like know who you are is so fundamental, right? It's a fundamental thing,
Hmm.
but so many of us don't really know in truth who we are. They think title is who they are, or a diagnosis for some people. They've made that part of their identity. So knowing who you are really isn't about the titles or the names. It's about your essence. That's my takeaway, and also a great way to really gain clarity on who you are is to have a practice of reflection.
Hmm.
You mentioned it, I mentioned it. I think it's really important for people who want to increase coherence and understand who they are is to take whatever, whether you have a in the morning or at night, but you have a period of time every day where you are reflecting on things that have transpired so you could adjust and change as you move forward. And I think not enough people have that practice. My 2
Hmm.
cents.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. I love how your mind works. You're very like you remember and you're focused and you pay attention. So I think that that is one of the things that I love most about you, and you're able to
Oh,
bring things right back into the coherent field that you hold, uh, the structure that you hold. So thank you for bringing it all the way back around like that.
well, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging me. I really started this channel to be in service of I could help just one person and give one
Mhm.
person from each video just one thing that they could take away. And that's why I do these YouTube lives. You know, we don't make any money from this, although I can make money. I am not making money. Maybe
Mhm.
that'll change, but right now it's not about that. It's really about being in service and just one, if one person can take one thing from any of my hundreds of videos, that's why
Mhm.
I do it. So thank you so much for joining me for the first joint live. That's fun.
I'd be ha- I'd be happy to narrow down topics if that is easier. Next time we do this, I think that would be wonderful. If anybody has a specific topic that would like to be addressed, I'd be happy to do this again.
Well, you know me. I always have I always have things I want to talk about, but I really appreciate you, your wisdom, your time, your energy, your effort, your amazing essence, chastity. Thank you for being here and for doing this with me. It's been a true honor.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invite, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay.